All right, guys, I wanted to have a quick look with you at how to read some error codes in Unity, because as you're working, you're going to make errors, and being able to read the error code that Unity gives you in your console window is going to really help a lot. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make myself a new game object here to attach my script to, and then I'm going to let's make a new C# script, and that's good. Okay, so I'm gonna name my new script here. We'll call it. This old laptop is chugging, trying to keep up with everything here. Okay, we're gonna name it code thing. Okay. And then let's play the game. And we see down here the reference script on this behavior is missing. So if we have a look in here, this is actually not a, I'm just going to stop that real quick. This is not an error properly, this is a warning. There are three little buttons over here that will show you the three different types of messages that you can get. So you can turn each of these on and off. Notice that I've got two warnings down here, so if I click off this warning button, they disappear. So that can be helpful to if you only want to see certain types of messages. So if you don't want to see these warnings, you can just turn this off, and you'll only be left with your actual warnings or your messages that you are coding in yourself to give you to post it to the console here. So I'm going to leave those on. Now, the reason why it's complaining at me, maybe you caught this already, is because here's my game object, and it's looking at this code thing script, and it says the associated script cannot be loaded. The reason that it cannot be loaded is because I changed the name of this thing manually here after I had created it. So if I just bring this up, so I changed the name from, it used to be called new behavior script, right? And that is no longer the name of the file. Unity needs this to have the exact same name for its file name and for its class name. So where it says public class here, this right here has to be exactly the same as the name of the file. You can see the file name up in the tab here. So I'm just going to, I have to make them match, so I could rename it, the file, back to new behavior script, but I'm actually going to name the whole thing code thing so that it matches. Now, I'm going to save that real quick. Notice that up here, you'll always get an indication on the tab here. I'm on a Mac, and it gives me this little circle to show that it's not saved. When I click save, Control S, Command S for me on a Mac, then the circle just turns into a normal close this tab kind of an X. So now, if we switch back over to Unity, our game object no longer says it can't be loaded. And our console, if we were to clear those out and then hit play again, this time the game actually starts up. You can tell when it switches from the scene to the game that you're tab that you're actually running, and those warnings are not here anymore. So that's good. All right, let's write some code. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go right inside the start method here, and I'm going to type this. Okay. It's a nice line of code. I've got a semicolon on the end. Everything should work fine, right? I'm going to save, switch back over, and I immediately get some errors. So let's just check to see what those errors are. First, it tells you the exact time that this happened. I am sitting here at 10:52 now in the morning, so it says 10:51:59. That's 10 hours into the day, 51 minutes, and 59 seconds. So it tells you the exact timing of when this error popped up. Then it says in the assets folder, I have a file called codething.cs. Then, here's maybe the most important thing, it tells you not where the error is necessarily, but it tells you where it gets confused in your code. So this is saying that line 10, 9 characters into the line is where it starts to be confused about what it's looking at. And it has an error code CS0103, and honestly, I don't know what that means, nor do I care really. But it does tell you that the name JKL does not exist in the current context. So we have some clues here to go back and fix it. JKL was complete nonsense, so that's probably what's causing the error. But the main thing is I have to look at line 10 to see where it's confused. So let's switch back over. And in fact, it does say here on line 10, this is what it's upset about. So I'm going to write a line of code now that you should all be super familiar with, and that is debug.log. So capital D, capital L, and then inside I'm going to make myself a little message in quotes, because this is not actually code. This is just a message for me to post in the console. My code worked. So if it did work, then it will say my code worked. So let's save and switch over to Unity. And then when I hit play, switch, there we go. My code worked. So that's good. Notice that this is a normal message type of message, right? So this is not a warning or an actual error. So I can, if I want to see only these, I can turn off the other things. So these, make sure that these are all turned on normally, because you don't want to think that you're not having errors just because you had the error button turned off and didn't see that there was an error. I leave these all turned on all the time by default for me. So my code worked. That's good. Let's switch back over here, and I'm going to throw in another debug.log, debug.log, and some of that. And I'm going to just say, I hope this works. Right? Save, switch over. You guys probably already saw the problem. Okay, debug does not contain a definition for log. So it's, again, saying assets, code thing, line 10. Let's see what it's talking about. On line 10, I wrote debug.log. Why does it say it doesn't contain a definition for log? Well, that's because I didn't capitalize it. It doesn't know the difference between, it doesn't know that I meant this log with a capital. If you don't get your capitalization right, it'll kill you. So capital L, and that should fix it. So recompile, and the error goes away. So that's good. Now, this is an interesting thing that I'm going to do here. I'm just going to delete the semicolon off of this line. Let's save that. Now my line of code is broken, obviously, so let's switch over. Notice that this is one you'll see a lot, and that it says, okay, your line 10 is the problem, and then it's got an error number that none of us know what that is, and then it just says expected, right? The problem is that what's expected is actually this symbol right here. It's got a colon here saying error number CS1002 colon, so it tells us what the error is. Semicolon is expected. So it's easy to overlook this little semicolon here. It's telling us that it was expecting a semicolon. So let's fix that. Definitely you will, that's a hard one to spot if you are not used to looking at that. So I want to try and create another error here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet to make this happen, but let's see. Oh, let's do this. I'm going to delete the end of this bracket. So I've got my start function, start method here. Starts, the opening bracket is on line 9, the closing bracket is on line 12. I'm just going to delete that closing bracket. Let's save that and switch over to here. So it's saying that in my code thing, on line 19, it's having an error where the bracket is expected. Okay, so we're coming at this like we've written some code. We didn't know that there was anything wrong. We were trying to write it correctly. And so it says that on line 19, there is an error. So let's go look at line 19. Line 19 is down here. So it's saying that on line 19, it's expecting a bracket. But there is a bracket. So what is it talking about? The computer's gone mental here. The problem is that the error itself is not on line 19. Line 19 is just where it finally got confused about what it was looking at. Honestly, I don't know why it didn't get confused up here on line 15, because you can't declare a new method inside of an old method. So what's happening is it's seeing that we've got an opening bracket here, which needs to eventually be closed. So that's open bracket number 1, right? Then we have open bracket number 2. Then we have open bracket number 3. Now, when we close brackets, we're going to close the last one that just happened. So this is the one that opposes that. You can see they make a nice pair right there. So open bracket number 3 is closed by close bracket number 3. And then when I click down here, ooh, look what it just did right there. It highlighted this one. It's thinking that this is open bracket number 2, and it's closing this. So what it's actually complaining at me about is that it wants, it says, I've closed this bracket, and down here I've closed that bracket, but I never actually got around to closing this bracket. Now, you and I both know that really what happened was that we're missing a bracket here, and if I put that back in, it'll figure itself out and say, okay, well, here's open bracket 1, open bracket 2, and then we close bracket 2, that's gone now. Here's a new bracket 2, because original bracket 2 is gone. So open and then close, and then we close the original. So just be aware that even though my error was on line 12, the error message itself over here is going to tell you that there's a bracket problem, and it's confused on line 19. So a lot of the time when you get an error, the actual error that you've made in your code is going to be before where it tells you. It'll eventually move far enough into the code to get confused. So sometimes it is on the exact spot where it says. Often it's before where it says. So just know that those are some of the pitfalls that you will run into. Usually your errors are going to be caused by not having good pairs of brackets, open and closed. So just make sure that you've got open and closed brackets all the time in the right places. You're going to see errors because your class name does not match your file name. You're going to see errors because you didn't include a semicolon. And you're going to see errors because your capitalization was wrong. So those are some of the most common things that you'll see. But the main thing that I wanted to get across to you, other than just like what errors you can expect yourself to make a lot, is just how to actually read those error codes so that we can get them to go away. All right, guys, thanks.